Her phone wouldn't stop vibrating in the cup holder, like it was trying to warn her. The screen kept lighting up with the same group chat name from high school, the one she'd muted for years. Reunion Weekend in all caps. She stared at it while the drive-through line crept forward, the speaker crackling, the smell of burnt espresso and car exhaust mixing in the air. A cold Starbucks cup sat in the console, sweating onto her receipts. She hadn't touched it. Her hands were tight on the steering wheel, thumbs white, nails short and clean because she couldn't afford gel manicures anymore. Another buzz. Another message. Wait till you see her, someone wrote. And then the one that made her chest go hollow, like her ribs turned to paper. Don't ghost us again, ugly duckling. It's been 15 years. Her breath caught. She pressed her tongue to the roof of her mouth like that could hold her together. The barista's voice crackled again. Hi, welcome. What can I get started for you? She looked up and saw her own reflection in the rearview mirror. Not the girl they remembered. Not a supermodel either. Just a woman who'd spent years trying not to take up too much space. She swallowed, turned her blinker on without thinking, and pulled out of line. Charlotte, North Carolina had a way of making weekdays blur together. The buildings downtown looked clean and confident, all glass and straight lines, but the people inside them still carried their quiet mess. Lena Walker knew that because she was one of them. She lived in a one-bedroom apartment off South Tryon, the kind of place with grey laminate floors and a gym nobody used. The rent went up every year. The hallways always smelled like someone's dinner. Her upstairs neighbor had a dog that barked at the wind. Lena worked in a marketing department for a regional healthcare company. Not a glamorous job. Not a terrible one. The pay was fine on paper, but life didn't care about paper. Between student loans, her car note, and the way groceries had gotten weirdly expensive, she felt like she was always a week behind her own life. Most mornings, she woke up before her alarm because her brain never fully shut off. She would lie there, staring at the faint glow of her phone, counting the hours until she had to be on. Then she'd get up, pull on black slacks, and smooth her hair into something neat. She didn't wear makeup much anymore. It wasn't a statement. It was just one less thing. She had a coworker named Denise who always smelled like warm vanilla and called everyone baby. Denise would say things like, "You need to get back out there," when she noticed Lena eating lunch at her desk again. Lena would smile and nod, because it was easier than explaining that out there felt like a party she was never actually invited to. Her father used to call her every Sunday. He'd left when she was 13, and still, for years, he called like he could stitch time back together with small talk. He stopped calling after his second heart scare. Not because he didn't care, Lena told herself, but because people got tired. People got scared. People didn't know how to show up when it mattered, and then they acted like distance was just how life worked. That was Lena's secret fear. Not being left. Being easy to leave. High school was a version of that fear with fluorescent lighting. She'd been the kid whose clothes didn't quite fit, whose braces came late, whose hair never did what it was supposed to do. She was tall early and awkward about it. Her mom worked double shifts at a nursing home. They didn't have money for trendier clothes, and Lena didn't have the kind of confidence that could pretend it didn't matter. The worst part wasn't even the jokes. It was the way people looked through her. Like she was a coat rack in the corner. Like she was a cautionary tale that made other girls stand up straighter. The reunion invite came through email first. Westfield High School, class of 2011. 15-year reunion at a brewery. Casual. Fun. Come as you are. Lena had deleted it immediately. She didn't need to go drink watered-down beer in a loud room full of people who remembered her like a punchline. But then the group chat happened. Someone had added her number, probably pulled from some old contact list, and the names hit her like a smell that yanked you backward. Tori James. Mason Green. Brianna Feldman. A few others she recognized, some she didn't. People she hadn't talked to since graduation, people she'd hoped would stay trapped in that building forever. At first, the chat was all fake warmth. Lena. OMG girl, it's been forever. We have to see you. Then the little comments started, tucked inside emojis like they were harmless. Remember when Lena used to wear those huge hoodies? She was so quiet. Our little ugly duckling. Ugly Duckling. Like it was cute. Like it was a nickname you earned. Like they weren't just relabeling the same old cruelty with a Disney filter. Lena told herself she wouldn't respond. She turned her phone face down on her desk and tried to focus on her spreadsheet. Her screen blurred anyway. Denise noticed. You okay, baby? Lena nodded too fast. Just old stuff. Old stuff always shows up when you're finally tired, Denise said, like she'd lived enough life to say it without dramatics. That night, Lena drove home in traffic, the kind where everybody pretended they weren't annoyed. Her car's air conditioner made a tired whining sound. She passed a billboard advertising a skincare clinic, a smiling model with perfect teeth. The word confidence was printed in big letters like it was something you could buy in a package. In her apartment, Lena reheated leftover pasta and ate it standing up. She didn't turn on the TV. Silence felt safer than hearing other people's lives. Her phone buzzed again. She hated how fast her body reacted, like she was still 16 and desperate to be included. She picked it up. New messages stacked on top of each other. Are you coming or what? Don't be weird. We're all grown now, face with tears of joy. And then, from Tori, the one who'd once told Lena she looked like a scarecrow in gym class, came the message that made Lena's throat tighten. Come on. It'll be fun. We want to see what happened to you. What happened to you? Lena stared at those words until they stopped looking like English. Her chest felt hot and empty at the same time. She thought about replying something sharp, something that would finally make them feel small. But the truth was, they already had. She put the phone down and walked to her bathroom mirror. The light was too bright. She looked at herself the way she never let herself look, not quickly, not as a glance. She saw her own face. Her own tired eyes. The small lines at the corners that came from stress more than laughter. She wasn't a supermodel. Not even close. She wasn't the kind of woman people turned their heads for. She was just solid. Real. The kind of person who paid her bills late sometimes but always tipped well. The kind of person who'd learned how to disappear in a room and call it maturity. She leaned closer to the mirror and whispered, "Why do I still care?" No answer came, because the answer lived in her body, in the way her heart sped up when those names appeared, in the way her hands shook when she thought about walking into that brewery. She cared because part of her still wanted proof that she had mattered. That she had been seen. That she wasn't just the before picture in someone else's story. Her phone buzzed again, muffled by the couch cushion. She didn't pick it up this time. Instead, she opened her laptop and typed Westfield High School reunion tickets into the search bar like her hands were moving before her mind agreed. The page loaded. The event photo showed smiling faces under string lights, people holding beer glasses like life was simple. Lena stared at the buy ticket button for a long time. Then she closed the laptop. She walked to her window and looked out at the parking lot, where headlights moved like slow fireflies. Somewhere, a siren wailed in the distance and faded. Lena pressed her forehead against the glass. She didn't feel brave. She didn't feel inspiring. She just felt tired of carrying a version of herself that other people had invented. Her phone buzzed one more time. This time, she picked it up. Not to answer. Just to read. Because she needed to know what she was walking back into, if she decided to walk into it at all. And that's when she saw the message that didn't sound like teasing. It sounded like a dare. Show up, Mason wrote. Bet you won't. Lena stared at it, and something small shifted inside her. Not confidence. Not revenge. Something quieter. A decision. She set the phone down, walked to her closet, and pulled out the one dress she almost never wore. It still had the tag tucked inside, because she'd bought it on a day she told herself she deserved something nice, and then she never felt like she deserved it. She held it up against her body, looking at the way the fabric fell. Her reflection didn't look like a supermodel. But it looked like a woman who had survived being laughed at and still showed up to work every day. A woman who had learned how to be alone without falling apart. A woman who was starting to wonder if she could stop treating her life like an apology. Lena hung the dress on the outside of the closet door, where she couldn't ignore it. Then she sat on the edge of her bed and finally took a sip of the Starbucks she'd brought home hours ago. It was cold and bitter. She drank it anyway. Lena didn't buy the reunion ticket right away. She let the browser tab sit open on her laptop for 3 days, like a dare she could walk away from if she needed to. Every time she opened her computer for work, the tab stared back at her. Buy ticket. As if the button knew more about her than she did. On Thursday evening, after another long day of meetings where everyone talked in circles, Lena missed her usual bus home. She stood at the stop near South Boulevard, the air heavy with summer humidity, the sky that dull grey blue that meant it might rain but probably wouldn't. Her phone battery was at 9%. She didn't plug it in. She liked the excuse of not being reachable. An older woman sat on the bench beside her, holding a reusable grocery bag with a big red apple printed on the side. She looked like she'd come straight from work, still wearing a hospital badge clipped to her collar. "You waiting on the 46 too?" the woman asked. "Yeah," Lena said, surprised at how rough her voice sounded. "They're always late when you're tired," the woman said. "I swear they know." Lena smiled without thinking. It felt strange how easy that was. The woman introduced herself as Carla. She worked as a respiratory therapist at the hospital uptown. 12-hour shifts. 2 kids grown and gone. A divorce she talked about like it was a storm that had passed but still left water damage. They didn't talk about anything deep at first. Just the heat. The buses. How Charlotte had changed. But then Carla looked at Lena for a moment longer than polite and said, "You look like someone carrying something heavy." Lena laughed quietly. "I think that's just my face." Carla shook her head. "No. It's the way you're standing. Like you're bracing for something." The bus still hadn't come. Cars passed. Someone nearby was playing music too loud on their phone. Lena thought about brushing it off, but something about Carla's voice made it feel safe to tell a small truth. "My high school reunion's coming up," Lena said. "I don't want to go. But I can't stop thinking about it." Carla nodded like that made perfect sense. High school has a way of following people around longer than it deserves. "I wasn't popular," Lena said, choosing the word carefully. "Some people are being nice now, but it doesn't feel real." Carla smiled gently. "Most people don't change as much as they think they do. They just get better at pretending." That landed somewhere deep. Lena felt it in her chest, a quiet thud. The bus finally came, groaning to a stop. They sat together for a few blocks, talking about nothing and everything. When Carla got off, she patted Lena's arm. "Whatever you decide," she said, "don't go to prove something to them. Go for you. Or don't go. That's power too." Lena watched her walk away, feeling oddly steadier. That night, Lena listened to a voicemail she hadn't opened in years. She'd found it while clearing out her phone storage, labeled just Mom. Her mother's voice sounded younger, tired but warm. "Hey, baby," the message said. "I know school's been rough. I just want you to remember, the people who try to make you feel small usually already feel that way inside. You don't have to shrink with them." Lena sat on her couch, phone pressed to her ear, tears coming before she realized they were there. Her mom had passed 5 years earlier. The words felt both old and brand new. The next day at work, Denise noticed the dress hanging in Lena's mind before Lena said anything. "You got that look," Denise said over coffee. "You're thinking about doing something scary." Lena exhaled. "High school reunion." Denise rolled her eyes. "Girl. Half those people peaked before their frontal lobes fully developed." That made Lena laugh, really laugh, for the first time in days. "I don't want to go to impress anyone," Lena said. "I just don't want to keep running from it." "That," Denise said, pointing at her, "sounds grown." That evening, Lena finally clicked the button. Buy ticket. The confirmation email felt heavier than it should have. Like a promise she wasn't sure she could keep. The group chat lit up when someone noticed. "She's coming," someone wrote. "Glow up incoming," another said. Lena didn't reply. She muted the chat again. This time, it felt different. Like closing a door instead of hiding behind it. In the days that followed, she didn't suddenly become confident. She still overthought what she'd wear. She still imagined walking into the brewery and feeling every eye on her. But something had shifted. The voices from the past didn't sound as loud. The morning of the reunion, Lena woke up early. She made coffee at home instead of stopping for Starbucks. She drank it hot this time, sitting at her small kitchen table, sunlight cutting across the floor. She put on the dress. It fit the way it always had. Nothing magical. Just comfortable. She stood in front of the mirror and adjusted the straps, her hands steady. "I don't owe them anything," she said out loud. Her phone buzzed once. A private message from someone she barely remembered. "See you tonight. It'll be interesting." Lena didn't feel flattered. She felt calm, which surprised her more than anything else. As she grabbed her keys, she thought about Carla at the bus stop. About her mom's voice. About the fact that showing up didn't have to mean performing. It could just mean standing in her own skin and letting that be enough. She locked the door behind her and walked to her car, the evening air warm and thick. Her heart beat faster, but she didn't turn back. Not because she wanted revenge, but because she was finally curious about who she might be when she stopped looking at herself through their eyes. The brewery parking lot was almost full when Lena pulled in. Strings of warm yellow lights hung across the patio, the kind meant to make everything look softer than it really was. She sat in her car for a moment with the engine off, listening to the ticking sound it made as it cooled. Her phone rested face down in the passenger seat. She didn't need it right now. She checked her reflection in the rearview mirror. Same face. Same steady eyes. Her chest felt tight, like she'd climbed too many stairs too fast. She breathed in through her nose and out through her mouth, the way her therapist had taught her years ago, back when she could afford therapy. "You can leave whenever you want," she whispered to herself. That helped. A little. Inside, the noise hit her first. Laughter layered over music. The smell of hops and fried food. People standing in loose circles, holding drinks, leaning into stories they'd told 100 times. A banner near the bar read, "Westfield High, Class of 2011. Someone had added balloons like this was a birthday party instead of a reminder that time didn't stop for anyone. Lena scanned the room, her body reacting before her mind caught up. Shoulders she recognized. Voices she didn't. People looked older in subtle ways. Thicker around the middle. Softer around the eyes. Still loud. Still sure of themselves. Then someone saw her. "Lena," a woman said, eyes widening. "Oh my God. Is that you?" It was Brianna. Her hair was blonder now, her smile practiced. She hugged Lena without waiting for permission, the kind of hug that was more about being seen doing it than about warmth. "You look great," Brianna said, pulling back and giving Lena a quick up and down look. "Wow." Lena smiled politely. "Thanks. You too." They talked about work. About traffic. About how fast 15 years had gone. It all sounded normal. Too normal. Like the past had been erased instead of buried. Then Tori appeared, drink already in hand, confidence intact. "Well, look who decided to show," she said, grinning. "Our ugly duckling finally came out of hiding." The words landed harder than Lena expected. Not because they were new, but because they were said so casually, like a joke everyone had already agreed was funny. A couple of people laughed. Not loudly. Not cruelly. Just enough. Lena felt her face get warm. Her hands curled into fists at her sides. For a second, she was back in a hallway with lockers slamming, pretending not to hear. She forced herself to speak. "That's not really funny." Tori raised her eyebrows. "Relax. It's a joke. You turned out fine, didn't you?" That's when Lena realized something important. It wasn't about how she looked now. It never had been. They weren't impressed. They were confused. The story they'd written about her didn't fit anymore, and instead of rewriting it, they were trying to force her back into it. Someone handed her a drink she hadn't asked for. She took a sip and immediately wished she hadn't. Her stomach twisted. Mason joined the group, loud as ever. "I knew she'd come," he said. "Curiosity always wins." Lena looked at him, really looked. He had the same smirk. The same way of talking like everyone else was an audience. "What do you do now?" he asked. "Model. Influencer." Something like that. Lena shook her head. I work in marketing. Mason laughed. Of course you do. Something snapped. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just enough. Lena felt tired. Tired of translating herself. Tired of being the quiet one who absorbed everything so other people could stay comfortable. She set her drink down on the nearest table, untouched. I didn't come here to be a joke, she said. Her voice shook, but it didn't disappear. And I didn't come to prove anything to you. The group went quiet. The music kept playing. Someone nearby cheered at a different conversation, completely unaware. Tori shrugged. No one's attacking you. That's the problem, Lena said. You don't even notice when you are. Her heart was pounding now. She could feel it in her ears. For years, she continued, I told myself I was too sensitive. That I should get over it. That it was just high school. But the truth is, some of you never stopped treating me like I was less. You just learned to smile while you did it. No one laughed this time. Brianna looked uncomfortable. Mason stared at the floor. Tori crossed her arms, defensive. You didn't have to come, Tori said. I know, Lena replied. But I wanted to see if things were different. I guess I needed to know. She felt the urge to cry, hot and sharp. She hated that part. Hated how vulnerable it made her feel. But she didn't stop herself. I spent years thinking I was invisible, she said quietly. And I let that shape my life more than I want to admit. The silence stretched. Someone cleared their throat. I'm going to go, Lena said. I hope you all have a good night. She walked away before anyone could stop her. Before anyone could apologize. Before anyone could make it smaller than it was. Outside, the air felt cooler. She stepped away from the lights and leaned against the brick wall, breathing hard. Her hands shook. Tears slipped down her face, unchecked. She felt embarrassed. Relieved. Angry. Proud. All at once. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She ignored it. For the first time, she didn't feel like she was running away. She felt like she'd finally stood still long enough to tell the truth. And that truth hurt. But it also felt clean. Lena sat in her car for a long time before turning the key. The parking lot had thinned out, headlights sliding past like slow thoughts she didn't need to follow anymore. Her hands rested in her lap, still trembling, not from fear now but from the release. The kind that leaves you exhausted and strangely clear at the same time. She didn't feel victorious. There was no rush. No sense that she'd won anything. Mostly, she felt empty in a way that wasn't scary. Like a room after the furniture has been moved out, waiting to be rearranged. Her phone buzzed again. This time she looked. A message from Brianna. I didn't realize how bad it was for you back then. I'm sorry. Lena stared at the words. They were simple. Maybe sincere. Maybe late. She didn't know what to do with them yet, and that was okay. She typed, then erased, then typed again. Thank you for saying that, she finally sent. Nothing else. No long explanation. No reopening of old doors. She drove home with the windows down, letting the warm air wash over her. At a red light, she caught her reflection in the side mirror again. Her eyes were red. Her face looked tired. But there was something else there too. A steadiness she didn't recognize, like she'd stopped bracing for impact. The next morning, she woke up without the usual knot in her chest. Not joy. Just quiet. She made eggs and toast, ate sitting down, and didn't scroll through her phone while she did. The world hadn't changed. Her apartment was the same size. Her bank account was the same number. But something inside her felt less crowded. At work, Denise noticed immediately. You look lighter, she said, handing Lena a coffee. Like you dropped a bag you've been carrying too long. Lena smiled. I think I did. She didn't tell the whole story. She didn't need to. Some things were better left as internal shifts, not performances. That afternoon, Lena got an email from HR about a temporary project opening. A cross-department role. More responsibility. A little more money. She'd seen postings like that before and ignored them, convinced she wasn't ready. She stared at the screen. Felt the old hesitation rise up. The voice that said, "Don't reach. Don't ask. Don't draw attention." Then she remembered standing in that brewery, her voice shaking but present. She remembered not backing down. She applied. When she got home that evening, she called Carla from the bus stop. They hadn't exchanged numbers, but Lena had found her through a mutual hospital contact after thinking about her all week. It felt awkward and bold at the same time. "Hey," Lena said when Carla answered. "You probably don't remember me. We talked at the bus stop." Carla laughed. "I remember. How'd it go?" Lena leaned against her kitchen counter, the hum of the fridge filling the silence. "Hard. But honest." "That's usually the best kind," Carla said. After they hung up, Lena stood in her apartment, the quiet wrapping around her like something familiar but no longer heavy. She opened her closet and took the dress off the hanger, smoothing the fabric before folding it carefully and putting it away. Not like a trophy. Just like a piece of clothing she'd worn when she needed it. That night, she sat on her balcony with a cheap glass of wine, watching the city lights flicker. Somewhere, people were laughing. Somewhere else, someone was lying awake feeling like they didn't belong. She thought about her younger self. The girl who learned early how to disappear. She wished she could tell her one thing. You don't need to arrive as anything impressive to be worth listening to. The next week, the group chat went quiet. A few people left it. Someone changed the name. Lena muted it again, this time without emotion. Some connections didn't need closure. They just needed distance. 2 weeks later, HR emailed her back. She didn't get the role. Not this time. The old disappointment surfaced, quick and sharp. But it didn't stay long. She realized something surprising. She was still proud of herself. That was the small win. Not the job. Not the apology. The fact that she tried without shrinking first. On Sunday morning, she walked to a local coffee shop she'd never been to before. The barista mispronounced her name. She didn't correct him. She didn't mind. She sat by the window and watched people pass, her coffee warm between her hands. For the first time in a long while, Lena wasn't measuring herself against a past version or someone else's expectations. She was just there. And that felt like enough. If you've ever walked into a room carrying an old version of yourself that no longer fits, you're not alone. Sometimes healing doesn't look like a glow-up or a dramatic comeback. Sometimes it looks like saying one honest sentence, applying for the thing you're afraid of, or choosing not to disappear anymore. And sometimes, that's where everything quietly begins.